this, but like giving a message using horses. So it's something that's new to me. I've been a Christian about 4 years, and horses are actually part of what led me to that. When I was in college, I got set up with an internship with Dr. Lou Sterrett. Dr. Lou Sterrett is the founder of Sermon on the Mount Industries. And Sermon on the Mount, obviously it's Jesus' sermon, but on the Mount kind of also refers to horses. So God led me there, and I learned how to have a relationship with God by seeing him demonstrate it with a horse. I've been involved with horses since I was 8 years old, so it's always been a huge passion of mine. The message I'm going to give you guys tonight, it's something I haven't taught before, so you guys are guinea pigs. It's something I've been working on for a while, and I'm really excited about it. I hope that it encourages you to just strengthen your relationship with God and help you find God's purpose for your life. I have these three horses here, and two of my more advanced students that get riding lessons and stuff, so they came to help me tonight. On the white horse, that is Kennedy, and the horse's name is Belle. And we just got back from fair. The Shiawassee Fair ended yesterday, and Kennedy won the overall reserve championship, which was really cool. And Sydney is riding Ava. Belle is 6 years old, by the way, and Ava is 3 years old. And then Revy here, he's 3 months old. Okay, so I'm going to have Kennedy, I'm going to have her lope 2 circles to the right, do a flying lead change, and then lope 2 circles to the left, stop, and back 10 steps. If you don't know those terms, that's okay. What I want you guys to do is just kind of come up with some characteristics in your head. What are you seeing? Does it look pretty? Does it look scary? Does it look uncomfortable? I'm going to ask you some questions after we watch both of these horses complete the task. So go ahead and start, Kenny. You can start facing that way. So you're going to do lope 2 circles to the right, flying lead change, 2 circles to the left, stop, and back 10 steps. Just go with it. Okay, do your lead change and go to the left. All right, go ahead, Sid. About where Kennedy's at, facing. You can face the same way. So you're doing 2 circles to the right, 2 circles to the left, stop, back 10 steps. Good job, girls. Okay, you can clap for them. Okay, so now we'll make this interactive. By show of hands, if you caught something that compares those two horses that just went, raise your hand. I'll go around. Chuck.
The first one was more on target, and the short course he had a harder time turning on the second one.
Yep. Mhm. With both of them, or did you notice it particularly? Okay. Okay, so Chuck pretty much nailed it on the head. He said the second horse looked a little bit harder to ride, a little bit harder to maneuver around. She was a little more resistant in her turns. So what I want to compare this to is our obedience with our master. Okay, so these horses, I truly believe that God created horses for us so that we had a way to communicate the gospel, or a way to give an analogy of our relationship with God that breaks all language barriers. Horses have been used pretty much for humans since the beginning of time, and it's used across all cultures in every country. So when you open your eyes and you open your heart to how horses are a reflection of yourself, you can learn a lot from it. So what we noticed with Belle, she was a lot more obedient. And does anyone have any thoughts or comments on why you think she might be more obedient? If you remember to my introduction of the two horses.
Somebody else said it. Did you say she was 6, the other 3?
3 years difference, okay? Now you don't start riding a horse typically until they're 2 or 3 years old. So if we break it down, Ava has had 1 year of developing a relationship with her master. Belle has had 3 or 4 years of developing a relationship with her master. Belle is a lot more sensitive to her master's cues and her master's guiding. She's able to read that and discern that a lot easier than what Ava is able to. Now, does that mean that Ava is being naughty? It's just she doesn't understand yet. So it's going to be a continual effort to get her to the point that Belle's at. So even though, does that mean that we don't love Ava? Not at all. We still love her. She's just useless, you know? Can't use her for anything. She can't turn a darn circle. So, what? She's impatient too, yeah. If you notice her pawing on the ground over there, it's because she's bored. She's impatient. She's not waiting. Waiting is another topic we could get into, but I haven't prepared that one. Okay, so now, I wanted to give you guys some scripture verses. If anyone has their Bibles, because I don't have this one memorized, but look up Romans 16, verse 19. No Bibles? Come on, guys, don't you carry it around? 16, verse 9. Who can sing it? You can sing it?
It's a song.
Is it? I don't know. Yes, very good, Sarah. Yeah. Do you have the verse up on your phone? Verse 19.
Verse 19. It's 9, didn't it? Everyone has heard about your obedience, so I rejoice because of you. But I want you to be wise about what is good and innocent about what is evil.
Yes. So Ava, when she's going around and she's being resistant in her circle, she's just getting a little bit distracted. She's getting a little bit frustrated. It's not that she's trying to be bad or she's trying to be disobedient. It's just that she doesn't know. She hasn't done her Bible studies every day. So I'm gonna have these girls do another task. And so Kenny, I'm gonna have you go first again. and you can do spins either way. I'm going to have you start doing a spin in either direction. I'll get out of the way. Just stand over here. Alright, so now she's got her horse doing a pretty good little spin here. She's keeping her hind end in place and she's moving her front end around. Now I want her to add some pressure to this horse. I want her to really put that leg on her, make her a little bit uncomfortable, and we'll see what happens. Get her going, get her going. Good. All right. And Cindy? Come over this way a little more. Okay, so now I want you to really put some pressure on her. Really try and get her to spin as fast as you can. Get her going. Get her going. Get her around. Okay, you guys see her tossing her head. She's trying to walk out of it. Okay, so you can release her now. So what I want to relate this to for you guys is pressure in our lives. Okay, a horse that has a greater relationship with their master, they're going to respond to that pressure a lot better than someone that does not have that same level of relationship. Okay, so Belle handled that pretty gracefully. She started stepping around a little bit faster. She didn't get fussy about it. I'm sure she didn't particularly enjoy it, but she got around. And Ava, when Cindy added that pressure on Ava, she's throwing her head, she's popping her shoulders out, she's going this way, she's trying to escape that pressure because she doesn't know how to take it. Okay, so when we experience pressure in our lives as humans, we can have a couple different reactions. We can blame God for it, which that's what I'd like to relate this to with Ava, because clearly she has a relationship with her master, but she doesn't fully understand it completely. So she's blaming Sydney. She's like, why are you putting this pressure on me? I don't like this. She's pouting about it. She's trying to run away from it. She's trying to avoid the confrontation. She's just like, get me out of here. And I lost my train of thought just like George, do you have my cue? I have them holding my notes in case I blank. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Okay, I'm not there yet. Okay. So a lot of times, and I know I do this too, we've all done it, I'm sure, when things happen in our life that are bad, we want to ask God, why? Why are you letting me go through this? Why are you letting me experience that? And you know what? God could give us the answer. I could give her the answer. But that's not what we need to know. We need to know that our Creator, our Master, is going to be there through us to walk us through it. God will not put us through anything He has not prepared us in advance to do. Now with Ava, I could explain to her, Ava, I've got to get you to move your front end around. I've got to make you spin so that you can do a rollback. She'd be like, rollback? What's that? You know, she has no idea what a rollback is yet, but I'm not going to teach her a rollback until she properly responds to a spin. Making sense? So the scripture verse I want to leave with you is my favorite one, James 1, verse 2 and 3. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work in you so that you may be mature and complete, lacking in nothing. I'm not trying to put pressure on these horses to upset them. I'm putting pressure on them to make them better, to make them mature and complete, lacking in nothing, so that they can be more valuable for me. They can glorify me in what they do, which is the reason we're all here, right? So I want to move on to working with Revy a little bit. Now, we've kind of talked about a mature Christian versus a newer Christian, or someone that hasn't fully devoted the same amount of time. Now, Revy here is going to demonstrate like a brand new believer, okay? He obviously has a relationship with me. He has acknowledged my presence. He knows that I'm here. But you guys, faith without works is dead, okay? He is never going to be the horse that Belle is without some things happening in his life. And I can work with him a little bit. I'll ask him to move his hips around. And same thing we saw with Ava. He's like, what are you doing? I thought you loved me. I just want to go back into the trailer and I just want to eat some more food. It's not always going to be easy. But he's not going to find freedom from it until he submits and he honors his master. Now we're going to talk about the process that we have to go through to advance through these different levels. Okay, so what are some things that you guys have noticed or you can think of that you have to undergo in order to grow spiritually? Another interactive question. Trials, pressure in our life. Illness. Consistency, that's a big one. He's never going to get to that level if I'm not working with him consistently. If I go pull him out from the pasture when he's 6 years old, is he going to be at that level? No. Now he can live life believing in God and knowing that I'll provide for him and I'm going to feed him every day, but he's going to be useless to me. And that's what happens, unfortunately, a lot in human lives. People are like, yeah, I love God, I believe in God. He's good, he's blessed me. So my question is then, what are you doing to glorify him in your everyday life? What are you doing to honor him and follow him and be obedient? How are you responding to the pressures in your life? Are you trusting God through it? Do you believe that it's for your greater purpose? It's a hard thing to choose sometimes. I don't always consider it pure joy when I face trials, but something we all go through. So any other comments or things on how you grow spiritually? We talked about consistency. We talked about pressure. Discipline. Good role model. Mentoring. Yep. Obedience. What was the one that was it you that just said something? Discipline. I want to talk about discipline for a minute. Now, consistency and discipline are going to kind of go hand in hand. There's going to be days that these horses aren't going to want to work. There's going to be days where I don't really want to do my Bible study, that I don't really want to do my devotion. And there's going to be days when I do it, but I don't feel like I get anything out of it. You know, but that's kind of a selfish reason to not do it. It's kind of like someone once gave me the analogy of brushing your teeth. You brush your teeth every day because you want to prevent getting cavities. Well, if you go to brushing your teeth every other day, they're going to break down a lot faster. So by devoting that time every day, even if you feel like it's not doing anything, it's development over time. I mean, 3 years is a long time to just advance a little bit. If you look at the comparison from Ava to Belle, 3 years, it's a slow process. But like I said earlier, God's not gonna give you anything that he hasn't prepared in advance for you to do. Anything else? George, did I have anything else on my list? Yeah, well, thanks you guys for listening. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, not necessarily a question, but age, because, as we age, God deals with us differently.
Uh-huh.
And then the rider, it deals differently than the age horse,
Uh-huh.
because he doesn't have to be a stick.
Mm-hmm.
And the horse knows
Yes. What she said was how we deal with horses as they age, how age is a factor, and how God deals with us in our life too. What I'm going to relate that to is boundaries. Okay, notice I'm not on top of this horse. Well, one, because he's not big enough, but also because I'd probably be on the ground. He's not ready for that yet. I have him in a halter and a lead rope. Now, what would happen if I let go of him and I started putting pressure on him? He would run away, for sure. So God puts boundaries in our life. It's usually people we don't like or places we don't want to be, stuff like that. He puts boundaries in our life that we cannot escape until we acknowledge him and submit to him. Now, if you look at the older horses too, the 3-year-old, she has what's called a martingale or a training fork that her reins go through. And that's just giving her a little bit more support and keeping her in the bridle a little more, where the older horse doesn't need that. So boundaries are also an important part of developing a relationship with God. And especially you younger people, you younger kids don't always like those boundaries. But they are important. Boundaries are what separates a swamp from a spring. So. The bugs are biting them. Yeah, that's why they're swishing their tail and stomping their feet. Basically, with a young horse, he asked what else I do to train them. I'm teaching him at this stage just that he can trust me. I'm gonna rub him all over. I'm gonna get him used to contact. They are prey animals, obviously, and we're predators. So their natural instinct is to run away, avoid conflict, kind of like our natural instinct when we run into problems in life. So everything I'm teaching him is just that I'm not going to hurt him. It's okay. He can trust me, but in putting pressure on him just in small amounts that he can handle and learn from. Now, when I put pressure on him, that pressure doesn't get released until he submits to me. That's why it's important not to do too much at a time, because then you can get yourself into trouble or end up with a hurt horse. So, I was asking him to move his hip around earlier. I might ask him to pick up a foot. I've done that with him before. So, yeah, just basic leading around, giving to pressure, anything that will prep him for the next stage in his training.
What are those next steps?
Well, when he turns 2, we'll start putting a saddle on him and a bridle, getting him used to that. Before that, what?
When's his birthday?
May 1st. So he's a little over 3 months old. But getting him used to stuff around his belly and...
What, can you relate any parallels to that in our system now? Those other stages?
Maybe. I haven't prepared them. Are you thinking of something specific from my last one? Oh. Like when I saddle train a horse, I talked about boundaries. I always saddle train a horse in a round pen. And the round pen's like 5 or 6 feet. Now, it's almost always the same process with every horse. I put a saddle on their back. They're going to run around that round pen. They're going to be rearing. They're going to be bucking. They're going to be looking to the outside of the fence, like, get me out of here. They're distracted by things of the world. They don't like the situation they're in. But until that horse quiets down, relaxes, and turns to me, that's when they're going to find their release. And then that's when we're ready to go on to their next step. Is that like what you're looking for?
That's when you'll give submission.
Yes.
And then you can apply that right.
Yes. Oh.
Do horses have a natural instinct before anybody does anything to them or with them, whether they can trust them or not?
Trust people?
Yes.
Depends how much they've been around people. If you get a horse out of the wild, they don't naturally do it. But going back to what I said about why God gave us horses, horses are also relational animals, just like people are out in the wild. They stay in herds, and they do become very curious of people. So when you're working with them, they acknowledge you, they know that you're there, they try and figure you out just as much as we try and figure them out. So. All right, well, thanks you guys for having me. I hope you enjoyed it. One more question.
One more question. What about, what would be your take on, say, like out west, somebody capturing one of the really wild horses?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I guess I parallel that to somebody that has never had any range, never had any boundaries. What thing do you think would have to be done to train a horse like that?
Same stuff. It's all, okay, I do have a couple more things. So Revy's background, he was bred to be very, very nice. He was bred to be very valuable and be a really nice show horse. And then, let's see, Belle, she was kind of a horse that didn't have much of a future, or so anyone thought. She was bred to be a racer, and then she only got that big. And she was kind of ugly when she was little. I actually got Belle for free. Somebody gave her to me because they didn't want her. I was like, well, I'll train her and I'll see what I can do with her. And then Ava, she's bred a little bit differently. She's more to be an endurance horse. And I got her when she was a weanling. She was a little bit older than him when I got her. I didn't breed her. And so they all kind of have different backgrounds, but the training process, even though it's been at different stages of their life, I trained Belle as a 3-year-old, I trained Ava as a 2-year-old, and I'm obviously starting him at this age, but it's all the same process. I mean, when you break down a horse or you break down a person, you've got three things that have got to get captured: your behavior, your attitude, and your heart. And it's all just breaking it down and getting to where we're able to capture their heart. It might take longer with a wild Mustang that's had no boundaries or no human contact, but it's going to be basically the same process. Okay, yes? Uh-huh. It's going to depend a lot on the horse. They have personalities just like we do. Some are more stubborn than others. Some are more reactive than others, or flighty. Belle was actually, out of these three, Belle was the hardest one to work with. She flipped out about everything. She reared up. She hit me in the head a couple times. She's flipped over backwards a few times. So, yeah, she didn't look like she had much of a future, but yeah. Yeah, I'd say on a typical horse like that I would train at my barn, one that's been handled a lot and stuff, I can usually saddle break them and get on them and have a first ride within an hour or so. Just breaking down those steps and getting them to submit to me, acknowledge me. But in order to have a horse that really understands what I'm asking them to do while I'm riding, it'll take a few months of consistent time every day. Yeah, that's all. He's bowing. Did he fall or did he just try and get the grass? You goofball. You're welcome. Yeah, if anyone wants to come pet the horses, I know several of the girls had asked me to. We'll hang out for a while.